Welcome to another edition of the Perk and Pub Podcast. This one is called Big and Bold. It's a pub podcast as I have a little glass of wine right next to me. Get ready to be big and bold and think big and bold, and I can help you out with that. Maybe you can help me. All right, without further ado, let's get into this Big and Bold podcast. Fortune favors the bold, or so I hear. Something I heard. Actually, I was watching a movie the other night. The Founder. You ever heard of that? Have you seen that? It's on, you can get that at Redbox now, and who knows, by the time you're listening to this, you probably have it on Netflix. In any case, it's about Ray Kroc, the guy who basically made McDonald's what McDonald's is. Now, if you guys don't know, there was a song about Ray Kroc. It's kind of odd because who writes a song about Ray Kroc? Well, I'll tell you who writes a song about Ray Kroc. Mark Knopfler. Mark Knopfler. Okay, so in his album Shangri-La, which is an excellent album, you got to go get that album. If nothing else, just put it on YouTube and listen to Boom Like That. Mark Knopfler, for those who don't know, is the lead man for Dire Straits. Excellent guitarist, but he writes these amazing minstrel-like songs. I call them minstrel-like songs. I say that Mark Knopfler is the last minstrel. We don't have guys like that. He writes ballads of sorts, but strange ballads. In that one album, of course, he has the Ray Kroc song, Boom Like That. And then he's got also a song about Sonny Liston. It's a super great album, and it's very nice to listen to. It's very aesthetically pleasing to the ear. Go ahead and get it. In any case, this movie, The Founder, Ray Kroc has Michael Keaton as Ray Kroc, which is kind of odd. I'm 42 years old. I've mentioned that before. As of right now, this is April 25th, 2017. I'm 42 years old. So it has, I bring that up because it has Michael Keaton, and I can't help myself. I can't help watching Michael Keaton in a movie and not think of either Batman or Mr. Mom or Multiplicity. That's all I can really see is just him in either of those three roles. And mostly it's Batman. So I watch a movie and I say, well, this is Batman when he's older. Michael Keaton of all people, it's crazy. But for me, he was like the first really big movie Batman, after Adam West and whatnot. I mean, who was Batman before him? Adam West. And that was it. That was TV, right? Bam, slam, boom. And then you got Michael Keaton with Prince, and who's that guy? The guy, you had Danny Elfman working on that, and of course the director. And his name slips my mind right now, and somebody's gonna get mad at me because his name slips my mind. The guy that's real dark, and he does all those weird movies, Edward Scissorhands or whatnot. Kind of a gothy guy. That director, and again, names on the tip of my tongue. If I had a guy sitting in a booth, some guy helping me out, he could probably tell me, oh, it's this guy's name. And I'm going to remember in about 20 minutes, as soon as I turn this thing off, and I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's that guy's name. In any case, I'll probably find him, and I'll put him in the show notes. So I was watching The Founder, and at one point in The Founder, this isn't going to ruin it for you. By no means is this going to ruin it for anybody. But he's talking to somebody, and the person tells him, well, fortune favors the bold. Fortune favors the bold, right? And that's been on my mind. Fortune favors the bold. Thinking about being bold, thinking about being big, thinking about doing big things, right? We all want to do those things, and we all want to say, yeah, I did that bold thing. Yet, it's tough. It really is tough. And it's not tough because, it's not tough in just doing the bold thing. That's not the tough thing, actually. It's kind of weird, because people think there's a fear in doing something. There's no fear in doing something bold. The fear is the aftermath, really. The fear is actually in when you do something bold and then it goes bad. Because we all think that, if you do something bold, somehow it's going to be good. No, it doesn't always turn out good. Maybe it does. Maybe sometimes, maybe half the times. Who knows? Maybe some people are lucky and their bold moves turn out good all the time. But for some folks, myself included, do these big, bold moves and you get something bad at the end of it. You try something big, and then you can fail big, and then sometimes you have to pay for that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you not to go out and be bold. This is all about being bold. This is about being big. I'm just saying that there is always a risk. Don't let anybody tell you go out and be super bold and that there's no risk involved in that, because there is a risk. However, that's where the magic comes in, is doing something bold and then actually saying, okay, I understand there's a risk. Can I take that risk? If everything goes to crap, can I handle it? And then just do it. And sometimes even if you can't handle it, I would say do it. That might be bad advice. Here's the cool thing about doing something bold is that two really cool things. One is that if it does work, it's like swinging for the fences, right? When you're bold, you swing for the fences, and that's how you knock it out of the park, apparently. I've never played baseball, but I know the metaphors. The second thing is that even if you don't knock it out, even if you strike out like crazy, even if like you have this huge failure, if nothing else, you have this great story. Oh, wow, yeah, I did something bolder. I tried something bold and I fell flat on my face, right? Which I have fallen flat on my face, but I wasn't doing anything bold. It was very embarrassing. In any case, I'm actually talking through a microphone that I purchased. Now, I'm talking not just through the microphone, but a pop guard. And the microphone is like a boom mic that comes off of this desk that I'm at, has a snowball microphone on it, and it has the pop guard on there. Perhaps maybe you can tell the difference in the sound quality from the other previous two podcasts that I did. If you've listened to them, if you haven't, go back and listen to them, and then come back and tell me if my sound quality is better. Better be, because I paid money for this. I paid good money for this, right? And that's kind of part of what I was going at, is being bold. This was before I watched The Founder. I had thought, you know what? I really want to do voice work. I really want to work with my voice. I really want to do voiceovers. I really want to do audiobooks. That's one of my dreams. I would love to do audiobooks. I love audiobooks. And I thought, you know what? If I love audiobooks so much, I'm just going to go do it. I've got this book. It's called the Authors and Narrators New Testament, something like that. I'll put a link in there. And in it, it just blew my mind how nonchalant the guy was talking about doing audiobooks. In fact, he challenged me to do 100 audiobooks. And I'm like, what? I haven't even done one. But then I came home and I'm like, you know what? I should do 100 audiobooks. Am I going to do them? Who knows? In future podcasts, I'll keep you updated. I'll tell you what, though, I already have one under my belt. Granted, it's my own, and it's not a full book. It's just a short story, but I did it. In any case, for those of you who are on my email list, you know what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is coming your way really quick, really soon. As soon as I can get this doggone technology taken care of. So I went out and I got this. I just bought it. It came in the mail, set it up, and I'm loving it, right? Now, I'm kind of in a financial, I wouldn't say free fall. I'm in a bit of a limbo. I'm right in between jobs right now, and I'm not really jobs. Haven't had a job, a job per se, for a while, but I had a contract job, but it was a job nonetheless. It pretty much like a steady paycheck in a sense, but I was 1099 type deal. I don't have that anymore, and I'm kind of flying out there and looking for the next thing, which is one of the reasons why I'm looking to do some voiceover work and really move into that direction. In any case, I got to get bold about that, right? I'm not talking to anybody else other than I'm talking to myself. I got to get bold. I need to be bold out there. Of course, that fear of just falling on my face kind of sucks, but we got to be bold. We got to be big. We got to think big. Now, what is thinking big? Really, what is thinking big? So there's that book, The Magic of Thinking Big, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. I've read that book twice, and I was about to get it for audiobook so I can listen to it. Then I told myself, you know what? No, I have the book. I'm just going to dig it. I have it in storage right now. I'm going to dig it up, and I'm going to make my own doggone audiobook about the magic of thinking big, and then I'm going to listen to it myself, right? Even though somebody else has done the audiobook, I'm going to make my own. This is the plan, right? Best laid plans of mice and men. But in any case, I'm going to get that audiobook, and that's my plan, to just read it to myself, if you will, so I can listen to my own voice tell myself to think big. So what is thinking big? It's odd. I was listening to the radio station. I just got back from Colorado. I was visiting Denver and Colorado Springs, and I just super love Colorado Springs. I'm preparing to relocate up to Colorado, and I'm hoping to be in Colorado Springs because I just love that place. I have family and friends up there in Denver. and in Colorado Springs. But if I had my druthers, it'd be Colorado Springs, just because I just love that. I just love that city. It's just amazing. In any case, I was up there and I was listening to the radio, and there was a radio station that says, we're giving away $1,000, right? And it's like $1,000. And people, they said, oh, you won $1,000. Like, oh, woohoo, yeah. And I'm not saying that's not great. $1,000. Hey, if somebody wanted to give me $1,000, I'd probably hoot and holler a little bit also. But it kind of made me think that we're not thinking that big when we're thinking $1,000, right? $1,000 is really not a whole heck of a lot. Like, think if you only had $1,000 a month, would that get you by for the average person, right? No, that's not really going to get you by. Especially to take out taxes and all that nonsense. So we have to think bigger than $1,000. And I'm not saying that we need to be greedy. No, don't be greedy. But there is a magic in thinking big. And it's funny because I was just watching a video earlier, and the guy, it's about email marketing, and the guy's nonchalant about how to make more money with what he does. And it's just, I guess in that video, he was just saying that one day he made like $350 just with that one campaign. And you think $350, if he worked like 3 days with just 3 campaigns and that's all, he would have made that $1,000. All of a sudden, that doesn't seem so big, right? The world's a big, big place. It's full of a lot of people. And yet sometimes we're just scraping by to try to make $1,000, or spending our time trying to make $1,000, which would seem like a waste of time, right? I mean, especially since, let's face it, it's not like me trying to be, let's not get all humble and say like $1,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I believe that even $10 is a lot of money. I read Mr. Money Mustache, right? And he had this one article about how $10 is a lot of money. Go ahead and maybe I'll put a link to it, Mr. Money Mustache, and just search that. $10 is a lot of money. And the way he lays it out, yeah, $10 is a lot of money. But at the same time, we're talking about a guy who put $750,000 minimum into an investment account. So yeah, $10 is a lot of money, but so is $750,000. And wouldn't you love to have $750,000 in an investment account? I can't tell you how to get that right now, but I'm trying to figure it out myself. In any case, the only way to get $750,000 in an investment account is to be somewhat bold, right? Is to think somewhat big. Is to not think $10 an hour. You can't do that. You think $10 an hour, it'd take you forever to get $750,000 in an investment account. No, you got to think big. You got to think like, hey, if you're making, say, like 35 grand a year, you got to think big and say, how can I make 70? Right? Like, how can I just turn around and make 70? Or if you're making 70, you turn around, how can I turn around and make 140? Or if you're making 140, you say, how can I turn around and make 300,000, right? And it's not about grabbing money. It's just about saying, you know what? I got to think bigger. I just got to think bigger. And I'm speaking mostly to myself. I got to think bigger. I got to be bolder. I got to do bigger things. Not for the sake of success. Not for the sake of just personal gain. But for the sake of inspiration, for the sake of reaching out, for the sake of being bigger, for the sake, when I say bigger, I'm saying like not shrinking into a shell, but to just expand ourselves, right? Just to expand ourselves and to be everything that we really truly can be. We shouldn't be walking around all afraid, worrying that we're going to lose $20 or something like that. We should be saying, what is our full potential? And it's not even about money, because the funny thing is, like, you go out there and you try to do something to try to make a little bit of extra money, but what you really get out of it, if you're truly looking to grow, is that you'll get some information out of that. You'll get some sort of a tactic. You'll get a tool that you can put in your toolbox, and that'll help you be not a bigger person, but a more interesting person. I'll put it at that. If you're at a cocktail party or whatnot, and at least you have some stories, right? So maybe you go out there and you try to start a barber shop. Who knows? You're going to have stories. At the end of that endeavor, whether you get the barber shop or you don't get the barber shop, you're going to have stories. As long as the story's not, I thought about doing it, but then I never did. No, the story has to be, no, I went out there and I had to talk to the city inspector, and the city inspector said this and and I had this guy and he tried to rip me off on my lease and blah 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 blah. And it's all this really, really cool stuff, these really cool stories that make somebody interesting at a cocktail party, right? Make somebody interesting at a dinner party, or can make somebody interesting to somebody else who's trying to do that same doggone thing. Just right now, I actually started this because I was sick at looking at the computer, because I was was getting ready to. I've created like 2 ebooks and an audio book, and I'm trying to upload them, and I'm can't get through, can't get it up and GoDaddy, and I'm talking to the GoDaddy person. Because I'm doing that, this happens and that other, and FTP and blah blah blah, and it's just so weird. But at the same time, even though that's frustrating to me, and I'm not saying that's some big and bold thing, but it's bigger than just sitting there and watching TV, right? Nothing against watching TV, but it's bigger than watching TV. So because I have that insight, that understanding, that when somebody comes up, if somebody comes up and they ask, should I do this with GoDaddy or whatnot, I can say, hey, yeah, you can do it, but you're going to have a hard time with the FTP client because I had to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. And I think there's a value in that. And it's not just a value in being, and I'm not saying I want to be looked up to necessarily, although, hey, if you want to look up to me, that's great. Please stroke my fragile ego because it needs all the help it can get. But there's something in just being an interesting person, a multifaceted person, something that somebody that has more to offer other people in terms of information or whatnot. I'm having a little Pinot Noir here. It's not bad. I won't tell you the brand because the brand's not that great. And it's not a bad Pinot Noir. I like Pinot Noir. It's always on the sweeter side. Just bringing that up just because. In any case, going back to being bold, what is that one thing? And I was talking to my cousin and her husband. I went up in Denver. I went and visited them. I asked them this question. I think it's an interesting question that you can ask yourself and that I'm wanting to ask myself, right? So I just got finished with the latest, I think it is the latest Lee Child, Jack Reacher novel, right? Called Night School. I'm pretty sure that's the latest one. And in it, they're talking about this guy who had the long game, right? And it really made me think, the long game. How many of us have that long game? Now, if you ever watched Bottle Rocket, there's a guy, Dignan, I believe his name is, and he has a 7-year plan or a 75-year plan, something like that. It's crazy. It's like a super long game. But how many of us have a 7-year plan to do something in 7 years, right? Like, what is that one thing that you would want to do in 7 years? Really, like, truly think about it. Like, what is that one thing that you think that maybe you can, that you always wanted to do, and you said, hey, if I put 7 years of dedicated effort towards it, we're talking real dedicated effort towards it, that you might get that done. For me, I'm trying to figure out exactly what that is. One of the things I was thinking about doing is like a TED Talk, right? But that's just one of the things. There's other things that I want to do. I want to get that. I want to be like Mr. If I can talk, I want to be like Mr. Money Mustache, get that $750,000 in the bank and live off the interest, right? That's a cool 7-year plan. In 7 years, think about it. You can retire. Would you like to do that in 7 years? Maybe you're 22 years old right now, and you're thinking, hey, I can retire by the time I'm 30 if I do this. What? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you want to go and you want to start your own, I don't know, podcast, and you want to have 700,000. Why is the 700,000 just popping up? Who knows? Maybe it's on my mind. 700,000 or 100,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. And you say, if I put 7 years of work directly into that, now, of course, knowing that you do have to go to work or whatnot, but instead of just using that extra time that you have at the end of the night, every night to watch like 2 hours of TV or something like that, maybe you watch, or 3 nights out of the week, you do 2 hours of just dedicated study. Who knows? Maybe that's how I wrote my books, is I originally in 2008, I just stopped watching NFL, and I said, I'm going to dedicate any time that I would normally watch NFL to creating my comics. And after that, all I wanted was one book. I thought, if I could just make one book, I'll be happy. I had no books at the time. Here I am, 5 books later, doing all this stuff, and you're like, wow, where did this come from? Where did this time come from? Well, it came from the NFL. Now, I watch NFL again now, but still, I like to carve out that extra time by not doing X or not doing Y. Who knows? In any case, let's go back to being bold. Let's go back to being big. What can you do if you said, hey, in 7 years I was going to achieve something, but make it a big old goal, right? They call it the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. What would be your big, hairy, audacious goal in the 7 years? And you could do a 7-year plan on it, or a 7-year attempt, a 7-year just working on it. What would that be? Maybe you want to live in Paris and you want to be a pastry chef in Paris. And if you say, hey, in 7 years, I can do that. Maybe you want to be a mechanic for Ferraris, right? In 7 years, if you dedicated, you probably could do that. Maybe you want to do a graphic novel, right? 7 years would be a good amount of time to get a graphic novel done. Those things take a long time. Maybe you want to write a novel. 7 years, you can do it. I know you can because I did mine and it took like 2.5 years or something like that. But you can probably do it a whole heck of a lot faster than I did, right? It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's pretty good, right? As long as it's something good that's going to benefit you and going to benefit your family, going to benefit your community or your circle of friends, your city, your nation, and the world as a whole. It's going to bring in good vibes to everybody. Write it down. What is that thing? I'm going to be thinking about it a lot. I'm going to write mine down. I don't know exactly what it is. I have a bunch of different ideas. I don't know what it is. One of the things I was thinking about doing, like I said, aside from the $750,000 in the investment account and aside from doing a TED Talk, one of the things I really would love to do is to own a beautiful, and live, of course, in a beautiful craftsman-style home. Now, but that's kind of a byproduct of actually making the money. So I kind of have to think maybe I have to make the money first, then to just go after that. Because if I just wasted all my resources just to do that, and I can live in there for a day and then I get kicked out because I never pay anything, that's not good. So I kind of want to be able to have like zero debt and actually go do this. And actually, to think about it, that's not that big and that's not that bold. It's just living in a craftsman style home. It's something that anybody can do. Maybe for me, it's like, be on Conan O'Brien. I thought about that. Be interviewed by Conan O'Brien for my book. That's a pretty big goal, right? That'd be really cool. Sit there with Conan O'Brien. Who knows? In any case, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. You want to be big. You want to be bold. Of course, bold, what is it? Fortune favors the bold. Let's think about that. Fortune favors the bold. And if you just keep that in the back of your mind, you're signing up to my email list. I'll be, once you sign up, you'll see one of the features that I also give, and I'm working on that right now. Worked on it earlier, and Fortune favors the bold plays into that. It's one of these really cool email perks that you're going to get if you sign up to my email list. Go ahead and do that at jason-solis.com/email. That's jason-sales.com/email. Go ahead and go in there, sign up for my email list. You're going to get a lot of fun, cool stuff. And if you want, so send me an email, jason.solis@gmail.com. If you have any questions for me, I'll answer them for you if I can. I get a lot of email, but hey, I'll do what I can, okay? So you take care of yourself. Go out there, be bold. Go out there, be big. Think big. Act bold. Let's do it. All right.